You know the uniform, the watch that costs more than a used car, the designer bag carried with the specific casualness of someone who wants you to notice they are not trying to be noticed, the lease on a vehicle whose monthly payment is larger than most people's rent. The apartment in the right building, the right floor, the right zip code, chosen not for the kitchen or the light or the proximity to anything practical, but for the address that reads correctly when someone asks where you live. You know the uniform because the algorithm has been dressing you in it for years. Not with your money, with your aspiration, surfacing the symbols, associating them with arrival, creating the specific feeling that the gap between your current position and the life the symbols represent is a gap between who you are and who you're supposed to become. Here is what the algorithm never shows you. The actually wealthy, not the performance wealthy, not the leverage wealthy, not the influencer wealthy, are not wearing the uniform. The people with generational financial security, genuine net worth, and the specific freedom that real wealth produces are, in a documented and consistent pattern, conspicuously absent from the status symbol economy. Not because they cannot afford the symbols, because they understand exactly what the symbols cost. Not in purchase price, but in opportunity cost, in signal value, in the wealth that was not built because the performance was funded instead. This is stealth wealth, and it has rules. My name is Mia. Today, I am giving you 10 of them. Status symbol 1. The luxury lease. The actually wealthy do not lease luxury vehicles. They drive paid-off cars, frequently older, frequently unremarkable, because they understand that a vehicle is a depreciating asset and a monthly payment is a permanent transfer of wealth to a financing company. The average luxury vehicle lease in 2026 carries a monthly payment of approximately $940. Over the 36-month term, that is $33,840 paid for the use of an asset you return, with no equity, no ownership, and no compounding value. $33,840 invested at 7% over the same 3 years produces approximately $38,000. The stealth wealth rule: own the vehicle outright or drive something used and paid off. The car signals nothing about your net worth. It signals everything about your monthly cash flow decision. Status symbol 2. The designer resale market flex. The luxury resale market. The Birkin, the vintage Rolex purchased as an investment, the limited sneaker bought for appreciation, has been so thoroughly infiltrated by people who cannot afford the items they are buying that the signal value has inverted. The actually wealthy stopped using luxury goods as signals decades ago. The signal is now more strongly associated with the aspirational middle than the genuinely wealthy. The stealth wealth rule: quality over brand. A well-made item that lasts 20 years with no visible logo communicates more actual wealth than a conspicuous brand that communicates aspiration. Status symbol 3. The bottle service table. The bottle service economy, the nightlife table, the event VIP package, the experience purchase designed to signal social status to a room full of people doing the same calculation, is one of the most efficient wealth extraction mechanisms in the consumer economy. The markup on a bottle of alcohol at a venue table runs between 300 and 1,000% above retail. The return on that expenditure is zero. There is no asset, no compounding, no residual value. The actually wealthy do not buy status in rooms full of strangers. They have built environments where their status is established through relationships rather than purchased through displays. The stealth wealth rule: the most expensive room you can afford to be in is never the right room if the admission is a bottle service minimum. Status symbol 4. The Instagram optimized vacation. The resort that photographs well. The destination chosen for content rather than experience. The vacation budget allocated disproportionately to the visual record of the vacation, rather than the actual quality of the time. The actually wealthy travel without announcing it, because the announcement is the behavior of someone who needs the travel validated. Old money, specifically, is characterized by consistent international travel that never appears on social media, stays in properties that do not photograph impressively, and produces no content for an audience that was never invited. The stealth wealth rule: travel for the experience. The person who needs the audience is not yet secure enough in the experience to let it exist without documentation. Status symbol 5. The address upgrade before the net worth upgrade. The apartment in the correct building before the balance sheet justifies the rent. The house in the right neighborhood before the equity position supports the mortgage. The location chosen for what it signals rather than what it costs relative to what it builds. The actually wealthy are disproportionately represented in unremarkable zip codes, not because they cannot afford the premium address, but because they purchased the asset before the neighborhood was premium and have no incentive to signal arrival through relocation. The stealth wealth rule: the address is a cost center. The investment account is a profit center. Fund the profit center before upgrading the cost center. Status symbol 6. The visible credit card, the metal card. The black card. The card whose weight and finish are designed to produce a specific reaction when it lands on the table. The card marketed to high earners as a status signal and carrying an annual fee between $500 and $695 for the privilege of making that signal. The actually wealthy use the card with the best return on their specific spending pattern, which is almost never the heaviest card. They are indifferent to what the card communicates because they do not require the table to know their financial position. The stealth wealth rule: optimize the card for return, not for theater. The annual fee on a status card buys nothing that compounds. Status symbol 7. The brand new construction primary residence. The new construction premium, the price paid for being first in a property, for the fresh finishes, the builder's floor plan, the address that exists in a development rather than an established neighborhood, runs approximately 10 to 15% above comparable existing properties. The premium is paid for newness. Newness depreciates. The actually wealthy buy established properties in established neighborhoods because the appreciation history is documented. The community infrastructure is real, and the new construction premium was paid by someone else 20 years ago. The stealth wealth rule: the premium for newness is a consumption expense dressed as an investment. Buy the established property that already has the appreciation history. Status symbol 8. The performative philanthropist table. The charity gala table. The naming opportunity. The donation calibrated to be visible rather than impactful, chosen for the social signaling of the room rather than the actual effectiveness of the cause. The actually wealthy give differently, quietly, directly, and to organizations whose outcomes are measurable rather than whose galas are attended by the correct people. The stealth wealth rule: the donation that requires an audience is not entirely a donation. Some of it is a purchase. Status symbol 9. The financial advisor whose office impresses you. The marble lobby. The leather chairs. The credentials on the wall. The suit that costs more than your first car. The advisor whose presentation communicates that wealth is managed here and charges 1 to 2% of assets annually for the management, which over 30 years on a $500,000 portfolio costs approximately $150,000 in foregone compounding. The actually wealthy use fee-only fiduciary advisors in unremarkable offices, or manage their own low-cost index fund portfolio, because they understand that the impressive office was built with client fees, and the marble lobby has no correlation with the returns it implied. The stealth wealth rule: the advisor's office is a cost you are paying. Optimized for performance and fee structure, not for the quality of the coffee in the waiting room. Status symbol 10. The business class upgrade on a domestic flight. The 3-hour domestic flight in business class. The status purchase that produces no meaningful improvement in the experience relative to the premium, because the flight is 3 hours, and 3 hours in an upgraded seat on a domestic route costs approximately $400 to $600 more than the economy equivalent. The actually wealthy sit in economy on domestic flights consistently, without apology, because the $400 is worth more compounding in an index fund than it is worth arriving rested to a meeting that will last longer than the flight. The stealth wealth rule: upgrade the investments, not the seat. 10 symbols, all of them designed to signal wealth while consuming it. All of them generating revenue for someone whose business model depends on the signal costing more than the substance. The actually wealthy are not watching the algorithm. They are not wearing the uniform. They are building positions that do not require an audience because the audience was always the expense, not the destination. You are not behind. You've just been reading a map drawn by the people who want you lost. Hit subscribe, because next week I am inside the wealth gap, the specific compounding documented advantage that financial inheritance produces from birth, and showing you what building without it actually looks like when the performance stops and the position starts. And I'll leave you with this: the uniform costs more than the freedom it is supposed to signal. The actually rich stopped wearing it. Now you know why.